Hey, it's Puneeth, and this is Galata. I want to take a moment and thank you for being a part of Galata for the last 6 years. Today we turn 6, and I can't wait to show you what I have in store for the 7th year. We have transformed from an audio podcast to a video podcast, and now we'll go on to become a full on production studio. I am thrilled and stoked to bring even more content to you. But for now, let's get back to the episode at hand right now. Today, you and I are joined by somebody who is a thorough salesperson. He is entrepreneurial in his profession and a marketeer at heart. He loves counseling youngsters so they can pivot to the digital education world. In his current role, he is bridging the gap between academics and industry and really redefining how engineering students engage with real world problems and industry demands. So please enjoy this conversation that I had with the head of industry relations at Kalvium, Abhishek Joseph.
Thank you, Puneeth. Thank you for having me.
The usual first question I start out with is, what were the conversations around the dinner table when you were growing up?
Oh, that's a very interesting question. Yes, so 20 years ago, around the dinner table, yes. So our dinner used to be together. We used to have dinner like 8:30, 9 p.m. in the evening. This is when my dad would get free from his work. He would come back after his daily shopping, buying some groceries, and he would come back home. Most of the time, what we would discuss, initially the 5-10 minutes would start like a heat up conversation, asking about how the day was. Yes, and most of the time, because we are 3 siblings, so we always used to be very cautious about what we are going to tell, because you never know. Because my both parents, dad and mom, both are teachers, they would end up asking what happened in your maths class or what happened in your English class. Yes, and they would even ask a couple of questions as well. What did you learn today? And most of the time, I personally did not have an answer to it, so I would be very cautious about telling what did I do. But then I would also, a smarter guy, try to shift the conversation to some topics, talking about some neighborhood story, what happened in the evening games,
Gossips.
Games today. So I was smart that way. So I would take the conversation in the other direction, so that by the time you are leaving out of the dinner table, you kind of like had a good fun time with the family talking about the day. Yeah.
And where did you grow up?
So
Which part of India?
yes, so I have grown up in North, so in a very small city called Tundla. So this is
Kundla.
Yes, this is like 20 kilometers from Agra. So I always say I live in Agra, from the Taj Mahal city. But yes, I have lived in Tundla for till my 12th standard. So I have grown up there. My parents, like I said, they're both teachers. My brothers, so we are all in the same school. So studying in a convent school till my 12th standard. Decent average student, yes, but more than studies was into music. I would play keyboard for my school choir in the morning, play guitar as well. So would figure out opportunities like these. Yeah, so always be into multiple activities. So being always active that way. I'm born and brought up in a Catholic family as well. So very religious that way. Attend Sunday church, attend the catechism classes, and do all those activities. So we've been active that way. So that's been more like my daily, very boring, I would say, boring
It's a very
bringing
peaceful
up.
childhood.
Yes,
Man.
it's peaceful
Yeah.
that way. But yes, when I look back at time, it was a daily. So every week I would have the same schedule, right from Monday to Sunday. Yeah, so that's been my life from growing up till my 12th standard. Yeah.
I see that you've been in sales for the longest time. How did you get your first sale? Tell me about that. How young were you?
Okay. Yeah,
How
so
much money did you make?
Yeah.
from your first
so
sale?
my first sale was, so I've been in sales all my life, yeah, right?
Yeah.
From convincing my parent to buy a cycle to buying me a keyboard. I've been
What's the
doing
most
that all my life.
expensive thing you've convinced your parents besides the engineering degree?
No, engineering isn't the most expensive degree I would have bought. I would have earned it. But anyways, jokes apart, so I've been doing that. So in fact, while I was in college, I was trying to build some business out of my college life as well. Yeah, and that's the time when I actually got into a sales kind of role and did sales for my startup back then. Yeah, so it was the one of the coding workshops that we were going to organize, and I had to sell tickets for it. So initially, just to understand how students of the college, because I was in second year, how would the first years react to it, and to understand what is the kind of conversation that these students would want to have. So that was the first sale I would have done. Yes.
So it's a North Indian boy selling tickets in Chennai.
Yeah.
About coding. How did that go?
That's interesting in a way. So it's a very different kind of experience. So one is the the conclusion why I actually wanted to do this kind of a startup back in college. Yeah. So
what is a startup?
So my startup,
college.
It was a banya business. I would say it is a purely business. I would call it a startup because I was in college, but it was a typical business that I was trying to build. Which
you
was organizing
quick pocket money.
Yes, organizing workshops for colleges. So one of the things that I identified early during my college life in the first semester itself is a lot of my senior bhaiyas and didis in the college. Yeah, so they were struggling for their final year placements. Yeah, because most of these companies who would take students in bulk would ask the students to go through a coding test. Yeah, and because a lot of these, because they come from different branches and computer science is not their core, so they would struggle for those 3-4 weeks to prepare for this placement coding test, whatever you say at that point of time. So this was a struggle that I saw. So I thought for a moment that if this is the condition in one of the best colleges, because the college that I went happens to be, they say that they are one of the best colleges in India. If this is the situation here, what would be the situation in tier 3, tier 4 colleges across India? Yeah, and that's when I thought that the placements. Then I looked through internet and checked that the other colleges did not even have a placement season, did not even have those kind of opportunities. Then I started talking to somebody, one of my colleagues. He said that if you want to reach out to these deans, directors of small colleges, LinkedIn is the way. And LinkedIn was new for me. So I said, okay, let me build my profile on LinkedIn. Then they said that no, you need to have a good follower base on LinkedIn. Yeah, and that's how I got today 31,000 followers that I have is a journey that I've built over a period of time because I wanted to speak to these people. And one of the conversation that I used to have is we'll do some kind of a coding crash course kind of program for you, and I'll get one or two companies to hire candidates as interns in their organization. Yeah. So I went back to IIT Madras Research Park. I had some of my college seniors who were working with startups.
You studied IIT Madras?
I did not. I studied at SRM University, but I had my college seniors who had passed out from SRM, but they were working with startups or research teams back in IIT Madras Research Park. Yeah. So I reached out to them and said, hey, listen, I'll give you some handful of candidates, loyal, they actually want to learn, less stipend, and they'll come to office every day. Yeah, so that kind of a crowd, ambitious, hardworking, that kind of crowd is something I'll give you. And the stipend is going to be less. So average is what you pay is 20,000-25,000. You can get them for 10,000. Yeah. And while I went to these colleges, I would say, okay, I'm going to take a workshop for 100 candidates. Somebody from my team will come and take this 3-day, 5-day crash course kind of workshop. Take a test. These companies will come in. They'll hire candidates for internship. If they are good enough, they will probably land a job as well. So that was the whole model. So that was the whole connection that I was trying to bridging this kind of a gap. So do something in college, do a workshop, build some skill set there, get these companies, tell them go to this college, hire some couple of students from there for internship, and all those things. Yeah.
And where did you make the money from?
So from the workshop. So workshops costed like $500-600 per student, and there would be like 100 students.
100.
Yeah.
Take this up.
Yeah. So 100 students would take up. So they will select the top 100 kind of students from their whole campus of 500. So the total strength of college would be like 300, 350 kind of number for one particular year. And they would
and you would teach?
Yeah, not me. One of my, so again, not so good coder to actually go and give sessions. But then I had my own batchmates who were part of Microsoft Club, Google Club, some good hands-on learning on coding, and they would have cleared some of the tests. So that was also kind of a recruitment that I did for these people. Hey, let's work together. I'll give you some bucks there, and I'll also give you a cab to go. to and fro. Yeah, good service, something that you earn during
Interesting.
college. Yes.
How much did you end up making? Like what, 5 lakh rupees on this?
More than that. So I actually could earn all my college fee that I would have spent was earned back. Yeah. So 3 years, yes, I could earn that back. That was the figure that I could make. Yeah.
What is the figure?
Should I disclose? Approx maybe like 15, 16
I don't have
lakhs.
the ITR people watching it, so it's okay. Tax season is over. Now we can chill.
No, it would have been like 15, 16 lakh kind of a number. Yes.
And this was between you and friends, or it was
Me, friends together, we used to hang out over weekends. So we used to rent, just for fun, we used to rent bike. So bike taxi was a concept. So most of the students back in Chennai would hire a scooty to go to Pondicherry, come back over a weekend. So we would rent one of these scooties, like 3-4 of them, and we would just go around the city in Chennai. So that was the fun activity that we used to do among our team members. So that kind of fun, yeah. We always had fun building. We never had an idea that we want to make it big, we want to do something big. No, nothing.
You
of
just
that
wanted
sort.
cash to
just wanted to do
guilt-free
it
spending.
and just wanted to maybe enjoy college life much more than what I would have enjoyed in sitting in the classroom.
So where did you host these classes? How did you get colleges to give you
So,
permission? I'm just curious because
yeah,
a
so
lot of every college would want a piece of this.
Yeah, so all those things is taken care. So I don't worry about those things.
How?
Yeah, I'm a good person. I could convince them maybe with a packet of son papdi.
A packet of son papdi.
Yeah, you go meet them and you say, yeah, hi, hello sir,
Here's a son
college student trying to do something. Please help me. Please guide me. Yeah, people are helpful out there. This is actually one of the learnings as well. So when I actually went down to meet people, I would always be scared initially that are these people actually going to let me in? Would they even speak to me? Because they are all deans, directors, principals of the colleges. But eventually what I realized is if we are trying to add value to something that they are doing, they would actually help you out there. Yeah, they would say, yes, Abhishek, we'll help you. Let's do this. We'll do this. Sometimes some kind of negotiations would happen around the fee that we are charging, although. But then yes, that makes sense because I would tell them that this is the trainer who's going to do this is the charge. This is something we don't make much of money, but then kind of a service that we are doing because we have some good talents at hand that we have. We want to share our knowledge and all these things. Yeah.
Interesting. So you got a way around these universities, got the place.
Yes.
How many weeks was this course for?
It
Like
depends.
a
So
day or two?
most of the workshops would happen for like 2 to 3 days.
Okay.
Yeah, not more than that. So we would do
It's
it
neat
for,
money
for
for 2 to 3 days of work.
Sorry.
Good money for 2 to 3 days of work.
Yes. That made sense. So at that point of time, back in 2015, 16, 17, it made a lot of sense. Yeah, so the idea was not that you need to have that kind of a break-even mark or you need to have like 50,000 rupees from each workshop. No, it would be that we make a money, we pass on whatever share to be distributed among ourselves, and we should have something in our hand so that tomorrow when we actually want to go out and party, we should have some money together. Yeah, that was the whole idea.
Intriguing, yeah. And tell me, when you see 10-15 lakh rupees in your engineering college itself, and then to go apply and sit in placements for like some chunnu munu 3.5-4 lakh package.
So interestingly, I did not sit for placement. That was also even in my final semester of college, I was convinced that I would take this business or startup at a bigger level. Not at a bigger, but I would continue doing it even after college. Yeah. But situations came in that we were 5 of us as the core team members, and one of them left for US, the other went to Korea for their higher education or their semester abroad, because most of my team members were juniors from college. And then, so eventually we mutually decided that this is not going to work as a business or as a startup outside college. Would be slightly difficult for us to manage, and also if I plan to go back north, or I'll have to stay back in south, because that's where the whole network of colleges has been built over a period of time. So that's when. So that was something that I was doing. So placement was not my cup of tea, so I did not sit for placements. In fact, and because these 3 years had been in this education industry trying to add value for people, I realized that this is something that I love, and this is what I feel lucky about. That I realized early in my life that I want to do something in this particular sector only. Yeah? It's going to be education. It's going to be adding value. It's going to be something in EdTech something around it, and that's the reason I finished. Once I finished my college, I finished my this stuff, winded up my startup work, business, everything. Went back home, took a 3 months of break, and then maybe one fine day in the month of December. I still remember it was 3rd of December. One fine day, I told my parents that I'm going for a morning walk. So this is back in Tundla, which is Agra. So I said I'm going for a morning walk, and I just took a paper, pen, a small bag, saying that I'm going out. And because they left for school, and I went all the way to Noida because I read somewhere on LinkedIn that one of the companies, education companies, is hiring, and they have a walk-in interview in Noida. So I went there, gave my interview.
How far is Noida from?
So Noida would be like 3 hours.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So 3 hours.
Quite a long walk.
Actually a very long walk, but yeah, a quick journey for like 3 hours by bus. Went to Noida, went to their office. They asked me some questions, and then they said, "Oh, you have a good experience, and there is one of the cities that we are expanding, and because you have this kind of an experience, we do not want to put it at that role of a executive. We would put you into a small team of 2-3 people. Let's build that city's business for you." And because I had added that, I've taken some school, colleges, seminars, and all those things, and they said, "Okay, may build this new business for this particular city." So that's when I landed into the first. So I still remember it was 12th of December. That was my first job. Went to this city called Haldwani, which is in Uttarakhand near Nainital. We were building a business for this particular company. And yeah, we used to take some seminars, collect leads, and it was a B2C market, just like other edtech companies, do some sales, add people to the team, and so on and so forth. Yeah.
So how did you build confidence to speak in public?
Confidence is, I think this is something that I learned during my school days. I would say I would take part in a lot of speech competitions or maybe declamation, those kind of competitions that I was always part of. Plus, I had a very wonderful, teachers, my own parents and the other teachers, because you are a teacher's son, you have that soft corner with people. You always.
You do?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. In fact, even today I have very good bonds with my teachers back in school. Also with my principal as well back then. Yeah, and he would always. I still remember he would push me to do some kind of readings in the mornings during assembly. He would make sure. Plus my class teachers as well. So they were always supportive, and I think that initially, and because I did not actually learn it in one of the days. I did not realize it that what I'm learning during this part of life is actually the confidence that I'm building over a period of time. Yeah, because I would have been in like 2nd or 3rd standard when I would have first appeared on the stage. So eventually every year for like twice, because the class used to get a turn to present in the assembly those thoughts, speech and all those things. So I would actually get once or twice, 2 turns in a year over a period of time, then would take part in other activities as well. So yes.
Interesting. So what do you think would be one hack for public speaking enthusiasts?
Public speaking hack?
Yeah.
I would say, I think
because you've gradually overcome.
Yes, while it has gradually overcome, but I also feel there are a couple of things that somebody who is a student or a kid today can actually build up. One is knowledge. So if I have right amount of knowledge and I have that confidence within me, that psychological instinct within me that something that I'm going to say is actually right. Yeah. So right now when I'm sitting in front of you, everything that I'm sharing is something that I have confidence on, that this is something I've done, this is something, and that is the reason I'm able to present it out to you. Yeah? So I think right knowledge and that instinct within you that whatever I'm going to speak is going to be right, and I will be able to take a counter of it. I think that's one basic that I feel is a skill to actually making oneself becoming better at public speaking over a period of time. Yeah, and because once you start speaking, you start taking thoughts of people. Yeah, the second comes in the listening part. That while I speak to you, while I express my thoughts to you, what is your take to it? Yeah, it will be different for different people. You have some thought to express with me. My friend would have some other thought. My parents would have some other thought. How I accept it, and then I realize that what I spoke to this person is not relevant to the other person that I spoke to. Yeah, probably because of different kind of experience. Maybe you come from a tier 1 city, the other might come from a tier 3, tier 4 city, while my parents would have different generation knowledge gap that's there. And I think listening becomes the second part. So the first is the instinct, confidence that what you are speaking is right. The second is listening from the other person whom you are speaking to.
Yeah. So get content and be a good listener.
Yes.
Intriguing. Tell me about how you approach sales, because EdTech has gone through like being the star of startups to being stardust. And I hope it rises back again. How
Yes.
do you how have you seen the different reactions of institutions like universities and colleges towards EdTech in the last 4 or 5 years that you've worked with them?
So yeah, so how I have always felt about this. So I've never been negative about the edtech industry. So one is that fact I have always believed that technology is actually solving some kind of a problem, and it is adding some kind of value. Yeah? While it might have a good or a bad impact on a particular individual, it becomes a very personal understanding for a person. Yeah, it is a very personal take. Yeah, but I've always believed in the positive powers that edtech is really solving some kind of problem, and it is adding value to students, children, kids that they are learning. Yes, and trying to add value. Now, one of the things that I see, if I look at the bigger institutions like the colleges, universities, they look at tech as an opportunity to actually make their own institution stand out from the other institute. Yeah, this is one understanding that I have. So colleges today have started implementing not just the ERP system, which was very basic that these colleges used. Today they are trying to go something above ERP, which is the AI platform. They're trying to integrate some kind of an AI. They're trying to implement some kind of algorithms in order to get some interesting reports about students. Yes. So they're trying to do all those things, and that's how I think for universities and colleges, this is something that I've seen. The acceptance that they have on a much higher positive note.
Okay, and how do you see them responding now versus before? Do you still feel that they are now more reluctant, cold, closed-doored versus before, where they were welcoming, they were accommodating?
It has been positive. Yeah, they have been welcoming. They have been welcoming. So while
have they become more sensitive now?
Yes, they've so while data and all other things have come into picture, and a lot of understanding of these data analysis and everything has come into picture, they've become more open to understanding how this actually works. Yeah, while you would go 10, 15, 20 years ago, if you say that we want to actually set up a AI lab in the institution, they would have, oh, we already have a computer lab. They would have that kind of an understanding that we don't need a computer lab, the professors or the teachers will take care of it, whatever you are trying to do. But today they've become open to understanding what's actually happening out there and what are these people trying to offer on the table. Yes, so that's the whole idea.
And what's been a pain point that's still not solved for these education institutes that you see constantly coming up?
A very recent report that I read says that 63% of the engineering graduates are not actually employable. Yeah, while they have a degree in hand, but they're not good enough to actually join a corporate and join any of the projects in a corporate or any of the companies.
That is so sad because most of them are on education loans.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, that's one of the other gripes about the Indian education system, about the education loan. It's becoming a loan crisis now, where I see parents of engineers paying off their engineering students' loans.
Yeah.
And nowhere else in the world have I come across a scenario where the parent is paying the child's undergraduate degree loan.
Yes.
Because the child doesn't get a job.
That's one of the sad part. In fact, while you would hear a lot of stories, lot of incidents outside, it's a very very sad part to know that the parents would have collected some amount of money thinking that after 12th I'm going to use this for their education, and that money actually happened to be less than what the expectations were, and then they had to pay some amount as a loan as well, while this candidate or the student would complete the education for 4 years and then become, even if he or she gets a job, gets at a very very low package, isn't able to fulfill his or her needs in a new city, living in any of the cities out there, and then parents have to take care of an extra burden. Yeah.
Not just that, it's after their graduation where they don't get a job.
That's the reality. So, for example, one of the reports said that the internship stipend, a very very recent incident, the internship stipend that was paid to the candidates is lesser than a PG rent that candidate would actually pay living in that particular city where the job was offered. Yeah. So, so that's the kind of scenario. So, not considered, but then also like that there's a problem on the other side as well. Not getting a right talent, and because these people are not qualified enough, and that's the reason they don't want to pay them. So it's a whole ecosystem of problems. But yes, one problem to solve at a time. And I think the basics start from the right education, right kind of knowledge, skill set that these candidates acquire over these 4 years of their college and in the school, and then they become more employable, which solves the problems for companies tomorrow. And when companies have their problem solved, they make money, and because they make money, they would be able to share a right.
But where do you think is the root of all of this problems in the education system we have? In your experience?
I don't know if there is a root, but I think one thing I've realized, and I think I also second thoughts on this particular research that I actually read, which was done by Harvard. They said in one of the reports
for India?
that so it's a global report, but one of the points that they mentioned in the report was that children as they grow up, they tend to become less confident, which also makes them that they are not able to share their knowledge in a right manner. Yeah, so that confidence building part is actually decreasing over a period of time. Yes.
Why?
And
in your
and this
experience?
happens, and this happens because of these situations and scenarios. Yeah, so you are in a school, you would probably raise a question in a classroom. The teacher may or may not answer, or may ask that, oh, that's a dumb question. Why are you even standing? Sit down. Yeah, and that may be the first instinct that, as a student, you might feel, oh, I should not ask questions. Yeah, and over a period of time, the habit that you would have built up is that introvert kind of a personality that while you would go into a college, you would say, no, I don't want to speak. Probably I might end up asking a wrong question. And because these are all random students from different places who are sitting around me, may laugh at me. Yeah? So this thing is one of the points that I've realized over a period of time. Yeah, this may be one of the point, and this may be one of the point from where that confidence lowers, the personality and introvertness lowers. Where do you find today when you talk to people, you talk to 100 people out there, 60-65% of them would say that we are introvert. Why is that so? A question to ask, yes. Why are these students of today's, you call them Gen Zs, why do they say that they're introvert? Yes. Why are they confined their own small circle? Why they just want to have that small one or two students in their group or friends in the group and just hang out with them? Why not a bigger group? Why are they not open to having conversations with everybody in the classroom, which is 50, 60 students in the classroom, or maybe 1,000 students in the college itself? Yeah? So how has this become? Some kind of an impact that has come over a period of time, maybe because of our environment, because of our limited access to one particular platform on a social media, because of which we are not attached to the world outside, and a lot of factors. Yeah. So as far as for a student point, if I try to recollect what happened with me, or maybe my friends, if I've seen them, their personality change over a period of time, how has this happened? And this is one thing that I feel.
But you work with kids mostly, but I see kids pampered to like king level. They are living like the king size life.
Yeah.
It's crazy. They have their own 2 to 3 multiple devices. They get whatever they want.
Yes, and that has become
a tap of a button.
And that has become a small bubble world for them. Yeah, and that's the reason today. Remember the times when we were growing up. Yeah, we every day went out to play one of the sports. We played that gully cricket. We had those 15, 16.
You're a gang.
Yeah, 15, 16 children coming together. Some elder to you, some younger to you. You form a team. You fight with them. If there's a wicket that was taken, you fight for it. Yeah, it was a wicket. It was LPW out, or any of these sports for that say. Compared to somebody I know, my cousins' kids, yeah, they are always on their devices. Their homeworks, everything comes on their devices. They come back home, they read their books, they read the other book that they actually want to read, they read on their devices. In the evening, they play games, which is on their laptop or a system again. or maybe they just go out maybe once in a week, which is
Yeah.
with their parents for a family dinner. Again, no exposure to the world
Yeah.
outside. While they would go to a restaurant, they would eat good food, but no outside interaction. Yeah, and I think that's one
They
of
have a
the
lot of
things
face time. They don't have
difference.
face-to-face time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely,
that's a
absolutely.
challenge.
Yes.
How do you see this? Because I feel sometimes parents are like, there's already so much screen time my kid is having. On top of that, there is edtech that's also like another screen time. Gamifying math, gamifying some syllabus, or making it more fun, or extra online tuitions. It's all adding up to that burden that that poor fellow child is feeling. So,
It
do you
depends.
feel?
I think of it this way. Yeah. So edtech, what edtech is trying to solve, right? It's trying to add some value to your existing education. Yeah. So I always feel that it is something on top of your education. It is not replacing your current
That's
system
for
of
sure.
learning. Yes.
But I think it has
Now,
made the current system redundant.
yes. So you try to add another. Maybe you learn X from your textbooks or from your teachers or from your tuitions. You learn X plus 1, X plus 2 when you have edtech into place. Yeah. Now the time given to this particular gadget has to be actually monitored by parents who are giving it. Yeah. So a lot of times, because edtech penetrated much into tier 2, tier 3 cities, where parents are aspirational that they actually want to give their kids everything, but not educated enough that how should they actually use this technology to empower their kids. Yeah. And that's been a reason, why a lot of parents these days, you go to them, you speak to them, they say a lot of screen time has increased for their kids. Yeah. What is one of the reasons? Yeah. Parents spend a lot of time with their kids. Yeah. The problem has been that it has not been monitored. Every time the candidate would take that particular gadget, the child would say that I'm going to take it for learning. Yes. And maybe a case that child may not even spend a lot of time on learning on it. Yes. What if the parents were empowered and they knew that this is a chapter, this is the time, maybe 20 to 30 minutes is something that the candidate should spend on it, solving some gamified form of learning, maybe understand some concepts up and above the academic that they've learned from their books. I think that would make better sense. Yeah.
I
And
wish, but as a kid, would you listen to your parents? I wouldn't.
Uh,
And that's what I wonder, because there's there's just so much, pretty much every information available at the tap of a button. And schools have
is-
not caught up. Forget catching up. Schools have just not even realized what they've gone through. And COVID just made everything very transparent. All the cracks, the fine cracks in the education system became like big gulps.
So it's true. So the evolution happens. Yes, evolution happens slow.
This has become a
Evolution-
revolution, man, not evolution, because the whole system has
Yeah,
shaken
so
up so much.
I do not
Abhishek.
deny the fact that there are a lot of things to be chased. There is a lot of gap in the system. I agree to all those points. Yeah.
Have you
But-
seen how ChatGPT is prompt where it is being used to like
Yeah, it's been
As a
I-
teacher,
I
where
know
they're
my,
giving
I know
you-
my cousins' kids who are actually using this ChatGPT to solve all their questions. That is
not
actually
just
given.
solve the questions that's given,
Yes.
but it is acting as a better teacher. Have you seen that role play teacher that reel that
Yes,
became
yes,
viral?
yes.
It's like, wow, this is adapting to the student and slowly improving the student. It's like a teacher is no.
No, not really. I think over a period, how I feel.
It's like a Ferrari versus an Alto, man.
It is. But how I feel about it, maybe let's assume maybe 50 years down the lane, how do I think about it?
50 years down the
50
line,
years,
I don't know what's
50
going to happen in 5 months.
Yeah.
Have you seen what's up with this iPad? Have you seen the latest iOS 18 that's come out?
Mhm.
Where you take the Apple Pencil, I wish it's inside, but and you remember how we used to divide, how we used to add, like
Yeah.
let's say 6, 4, 5, 6 plus, let's say 5, 4, 3, 2, and you say equals,
Yes.
and you're writing it on a screen, and it's showing you the sum. And it's like a whole it unlocks a whole different level of education computation.
It does. So technology will always add value. That's for
I
sure.
think it's not just add.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
we're way beyond adding value. It's way beyond just being incremental.
It is.
It's way beyond. Don't you feel so?
Certainly, it is much higher. A new kind of technology that's coming, and it is much higher in terms of the value it's providing. But how I feel about it, yeah, how would things change over a period of time? Yeah, teachers would be there, the education system will be there, and it will become more of a motivation session there. Yeah, these people would always be there to motivate you to actually do something better. Yeah,
and why would you need it?
I would need it because if, let's say that if I or you are today, and if we don't talk to people outside, yes, if I don't discuss what I am aspiring to become or my ambitions with people out there, yes, I probably may not be able to think that way. The kind of perspective that I get from people, yeah, the kind of motivation that I get from my own friends, I share that, this is the job that I'm doing, this is what I want to be. Somebody would guide me. Somebody would say, maybe Abhishek, you should spend 3-4 years here and then maybe switch to this particular role. This will add this kind of value, and this is how you can actually reach that. I would gather some insights from here and there, and then maybe I would conclude something on my own, rather than I being blind, or rather blank in terms of what I want to do in future. Yeah. Now think of it from a kid's perspective. Yeah, while a kid is growing up, he has parents in the house, he has a nanny in the house, he has siblings in the house. But not so. I wouldn't want to listen to my parents, because I probably feel as I grow up that my parents don't know, they don't even know how to probably do some kind of edit to a sound, while I am able to do that using my phone or a device. I need somebody to actually guide me, help me, motivate me. Yeah, and that's the reason I would want
in the face 5, 6, 8 hours a day. I don't think so.
The time duration would decrease. Yeah, I think that the time duration would decrease to some extent in a school.
Then why go to school at all?
For this motivation, to have that social circle.
Oh.
Yeah, because that's the only way. While you're growing up, you would have that kind of a social circle. In fact, I was discussing this with one of the principals, who's a good friend of mine, and he would say this, and he quoted that as the time passes, the schools or the institutions, people will always come here to socialize with their age groups, yeah, and to actually become that kind of a personality that while they grow up and they have to face the world outside, they're prepared for this. Yeah, because they would have better means to actually educate themselves back in their home, or in other ways.
So, the irony of where I did my MBA and now I'm seeing in other colleges also.
Mm-hmm.
We had 3 buildings that had a lifespan of 25 years.
Okay.
They pulled it all down,
mm-hmm.
and built like a 13 to 15 floor building,
mm-hmm.
which is called a cultural center.
Okay.
Where you have auditoriums the size of like an opera house.
Mm-hmm.
You have a gym that is 2 to 3 floor.
Mm-hmm.
You have a library that is another 3 floors. And it turns out that now colleges have become cultural centers.
Yes, absolutely. So
it's like a club. It's like a private club.
They've become centers to socialize. Yeah? The more you get into these activities, the more you interact through these ways. Yeah, you share your love for music. You share your love for a particular
and
technology.
And for that, you pay an entry fee of like 4 or 5 lakhs a year.
Yeah, it would change. It would surely change. My personal belief is that these numbers and figures would surely change.
Towards upside or downside?
They should go down. They should go down, because I think a lot of focus will be done in terms of quality. Yes, and these people would come in. A lot of expenses would come down for this. While there are very vague numbers and people telling a lot of things about this, but I think it would eventually come down. That's how I feel about it.
I don't know, man. I think right now the biggest contraceptive in India is the school fees. Just 2 days ago, I was with a friend.
Okay.
He's in his mid-30s now, and he's telling me at the club, Toastmasters club, that Puneeth, my child's 1-year school fee was my engineering fees combined. And he's like, I make sure my child better use that every year.
He should actually learn the level of engineering while he is in school so that I psychologically get a recovery of it.
It is unfathomable the expenses of a private school has come to. And this is just the school, the tuition. Imagine the extracurricular, the co-curricular, the shoes fee,
Yeah.
the clothes fee, the book labeled fee, the outing fee, and the pocket money, and then a new device every 2 years.
It is.
I don't.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised that most young guys are single in their late 20s, not having kids.
No, I think it's a matter of somebody's personal choice. Well, there would be
From a
government.
personal choice, it's
There
become
would
like a
be
social choice
there
now.
would be yeah all those parameters, yeah. So while there would be schools in government schools as well, but yes, the reason why we want to send to one of these best schools because of our social circle and all those things is because we are kind of believing that there is kind of a social interaction that's happening there, and these kids are learning something out of it, and that's the reason we want to put into these kind of schools where they have more cultural activities, swimming, all these sports, everything. We want it to be that way, and that's how we have also evolved. While our parents focus on the quality of education that's imparted in the school today, we think that our student, okay, he or she will have some IQ, he or she will figure out something
So
in
the
life.
education is like you figure it
Yes,
out.
yeah,
But the
they'll
cultural
figure out,
aspect.
but the other things are becoming more important today. Why people have the reason people have started watching Olympics, a lot of sports, there's an interest rising there, yeah, because today I probably think it maybe my child tomorrow can become a shooter, my child tomorrow can start doing horse riding, yeah? I've started thinking of this while I asked this question to my parents if they ever thought that they would want their son Abhishek to become one of the sports or wanted to become a hockey player or something. No, they did not have this. While they wanted that I should play in the school's basketball team or take part in that gully cricket and everything, but they did not have. Their goal was that education, percentage, good college, good degree, good job, all those things. But
You're a clear path.
yes, but today we have evolved. We have mixed opinions. Yeah, today my opinions would be very different for my kids compared to your opinions. While you talk to our parents,
What
most
is
of
your
the parents
parents'
would.
opinion of education system? Because they both have
Yes.
seen this go from.
So
I'm just
they're
curious.
very simple that way. So
I
they
hope you're
are
unfiltered now.
Yeah, they are very simple that way. They both are teachers, and one of the important thing for them is the good quality education. Yeah, so the school that I studied was an ICSE board, and the only ICSE board in the district. Yes, and therefore that's the kind of level that they wanted to put us in. Then my brother, they sent him abroad. So
But what do you think
currently,
of the education system now? And what do you think of
they don't have
all
much
this technology and
yes,
gizmos?
while they see that no, all this is not going to add any value, they would still be okay. They want to do their best in terms of the kind of education that they are imparting, any of the subjects that they teach, they do their best. Yeah, so while I would come back, so in fact during the time of COVID they had to record their sessions and give it to the students. They had a lot of difficulty facing the camera, coming in front of the camera, because in the classroom you might make mistake, but these students, because they have all recorded content, they would take clips of it and they would post here and there in the groups. The kids are very smart these days. Yeah, they would do that. In fact, initially because because I see my parents, other colleagues as well. A lot of teachers would face difficulty that they did not know that we can also have an email invite, a specific email invite to enter into a Zoom or a Google Meet. Yeah. And then random students would come in and then they would just do a show and then just
do a
skip.
show?
Show means they would just wear a mask and they would sit in classroom.
Okay.
All these things happen, yeah. And now these 7th and 8th standard kids doing that. While I would never imagine that I would have done this back in my school. But today these things happen, yes. And so they thought maybe this too shall pass. But yes, now because they are back to their school and now Yeah, they're doing their best, I think, and I say because they are all, I mean, they're almost approaching 60. Yes, and so they don't have. They see only 2-3 years of more service to be done.
Oh, they're like, I'm done with
so
this.
yeah, so let me do the best in terms of what I know. That's how they feel about it.
What do you think about the students? Because they have seen students go
Yes,
from
so they've become notorious. They've become mischief. It's very hard to control them today. They would say that during the time when we were kids in the school, uh, they would we would be afraid that even if a teacher is passing from the corridor, we would get into the classroom. We would just sit there. Yeah, that I'm sure that would have been the same
there's a
scenario.
sense of respect.
Yes, yes. So we always have that. But yes, today students want to have their voice. They want to be democratic because they would have watched some random reel or some random video that everybody's thoughts should be heard.
And they got motivated.
Yes, everybody should put up their thoughts. So I remember one of the incidents. One of the school teacher was sharing with me was so a group of students, so 2-3 students from the 11th or 12th grade. They came to teacher. They said, "Why do we only have English songs in our assembly? Why not Hindi? Why do we not have some kind of Hindi songs which is spiritual and all those things?" So they had their voice. So today they come up with these kind of, and in fact, one of the principals even told me that somebody even put this as the principal box, some kind of complaint box. So they even put this as a request that we want to have Hindi songs in the school. Why are you trying to teach us English? So different people have different thoughts, and I think for me it's very interesting to learn all these inputs coming from people so that I can reiterate these or think of these and then go back to these students when I'm giving a seminar, tell them this is what you actually do.
It's fodder for your seminar.
Yes.
I was at a panel discussion recently, and this young student, she stood up and she's like, "Why do you have a manual?"
Okay.
I'm like, "What's a manual?"
Yeah.
I'm just like, she's like, "All male panel is a manual." I'm like, "Huh?" She's like, "We need women panelists also."
Yes.
So it's unfathomable how people are voicing, especially youngsters are voicing their.
So there are a lot of mixed inputs that I get from people.
Yeah.
So in fact, from our age group as well. So people have got people because they have been exposed to different cities now. They have evolved in terms of their thinking. Yeah. So for me, I always think it as that kind of a family culture to be built where both my kids, maybe son, maybe daughter, they're both at equal. They are sitting together. There might be instances that we would always ask son to do something, and maybe and that's the kind of upbringing that I come from here, because we are two brothers, and the youngest is a sister. She has accepted the fact that that this is, so for example, going to market. Okay, let's send the boy. He can go on a bike, get that. While my sister. So today I think of it. Maybe if today I have a kid, my daughter might come back and ask me.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep going.
Yeah. So my daughter might come back and ask me, why are you not buying me a scooty? I can also go to the market. Yes. But yes, I think these are all evolved conversations over a period of time. But I've taken it. So for me, I always think I'm kind of old school that way. So think of it, okay, let's see, whatever comes on the way, we'll figure out something. We'll talk and discuss. That's what I will. Being a salesperson, I think, okay, let's talk and discuss. Let's discuss and come to a conclusion. And then I think that's how things will be. I have no serious offenses for people who think the other way around. I think it's their exposure that they would have gone through, which has made them
You're not old school,
think
you're
about.
boomer.
No, which
They're
is
like,
actually think that somebody coming to, why it is all the male panel, somebody coming and asking. I would not think about it. I would think it on the other way around. Maybe these would have been the right people who would have right amount of knowledge about this particular topic. I would think it that way. Yes. So it depends.
Yeah, I agree with. I share your sentiments. I wish they too did. They don't. And that's what has made education such a tough cookie to navigate, not just for parents but also the students, and especially the institutions that are still trying to do the words like control, attendance, assignments. Where do you see education in the next 6 months.
Six, 6 months is no, since the new academic year has started and everything is in place now. In the next 6 months, it is exactly going to be what is being done today. But yes, next year, in next 6 months, there might be some expectations which will bring an impact in next year's education, or maybe a year after if that's in a small college or institute, or maybe 5 years down the lane if that's a or more smaller institute. I think that's how. But it's evolving. It's evolving. That's what I feel.
Do you think
it is changing?
it is evolving fast? Or
It's evolving slow. So compared to what's happening in the world outside, institutions are evolving slow. That's my personal understanding. Yes. Because I remember, during the time of COVID, or rather before COVID, which is the time when I was graduating from college, year 2018-19. You remember a lot of these people started doing graphic designing jobs, and they wanted to become graphic design video editor because the YouTube was slightly picking up, which actually made a lot of YouTubers wanted to hire these kind of skill set.
Yeah, I'm still hiring for some of these skill sets. If you're in, drop me a DM.
Sure. Then now that's kind of a skill change which is happening there. Now, take it from an institute perspective. So during the time of COVID, one of the schools wanted to discuss with me that the kind of competitions that they should have during this time of COVID or during the summer vacation period when the students are not coming, just to keep them engaged at home. So I proposed them taking maybe a competition on digital design rather than a paper painting, yes, or maybe taking a selfie, because selfie has become a trend, in those 2089 because front camera quality has improved. So I said maybe 2020, 2021, why not take that as a competitive? Why not take the best selfie wins? Maybe the selfie will have with more number of people from the house, they win. Let's put some. So in the first year, they were slightly doubtable that let's not have these things. Let's only have those paper painting, essay writing, story writing, poem, and all those things. Yeah. But then I realized that these people may not understand the board, or rather the group, the panel of teachers may not understand. So I went back to them after this competition was done, preparing them with a mindset for the next year, which was also COVID year, telling them, see, jobs earlier were let's hire IT engineer, analyst, all those manual testing and all those jobs. Today jobs are hiring a video editor, hiring a graphic designer, and all these are digital. Nobody is asking for paper cartoons or those Mickey Mouse to be made today. Everybody is looking for digital kind of smiley, all those emoticons and everything put in place. Then they said, okay, let's try. At least that brought to a conclusion, okay, this is kind of something is trending. He's trying to make our school stand different compared to other schools in the locality. Let's try. So next year they had this, which is what by this time, by this 1 year, everything was at peak. If I look at this thing, so everybody is hiring, everybody is becoming that engineer, that designer, editor, everybody is becoming that. Now they have just come to certain level. There's still a gap, which is a very big gap. The next year they would do, maybe next year some 2-3 schools will also adapt to this kind of competition. So it's a slow pace. So by the time you ramp up here, these people would have already gone there. Now today they are hiring people for somebody makes videos using Gen AI. Make videos using Gen AI. Yes.
Driven podcast.
Make those things in place, identify the right sections and all. If that's the first year, the school will probably implement, or the institute will implement this kind of course in the second year or third year, when they would actually get to know from random people out there. Yes, and because they also need somebody to guide them that what is the competition going to be all around, what are the specifications of this competition. So I think that's slightly slow is what I feel.
Slightly slow?
Yes, it is. I don't compare the speed of slowness because we remember in our school days is even the rabbit couldn't win a race because he took rest. The tortoise could, so there is no comparison to a slowness there, but yes, I would say that slow and slow and slow, but yes, we hope that slow and steady wins the race someday.
Do you see a future where there are no schools?
Where there are no schools?
No schools and colleges? in India?
I don't know. As far as I'm alive, I don't think of a situation when there are no schools. I don't know because I haven't seen any of the countries implementing that.
Where ed tech becomes ed?
No, I don't think so. No, I don't think. At least till the time I'm alive, I don't think so. In the next 50, 70, I don't think. And because I don't even hear about any of the countries trying to implement anything of that sort, while there are institutions that have opened up, which has become kind of an open school kind of a model where they have no education, they have just students come in, they play, they spend time talking, they learn some eating with spoon and a fork, which we learned going to the restaurant, but then they are trying to learn this in the school. Some kind of learning maybe, but yes, because I don't hear this coming from any of the countries or any of the any of the researchers. I don't think so.
Do these seminars, what are some common questions the attendees bring up that move you?
So I've been doing school session seminars early from my college days. My third year of college, I took one of the seminars in one of the schools nearby. So that's how. So on and off, been there in schools. Yeah. So one of the times when I got surprised was the first time when a student walks up to me and asks that, how can I become a particular profession? Yeah. So it was becoming a graphic designer at that point of time. But somebody having that kind of clarity when he or she is in 8th or 9th grade is something that was shocking for me. Shocking me, it was a kind of a surprise. Even till my end of engineering, I did not know that what am I doing in my life. Yes, and somebody. So before that, all the sessions that I would have done, it would have been a smooth one. General questions, sir, can you guide me? Bhaiya, can I call you? Can I ask you some questions? And all those. But somebody coming and asking me specifically that, how can I become that? And I asked why. No, I want to become that. No, but do you know all the other options? No, I don't want to hear all those things. They said, do you know how many branches of engineering there are in India? No, I don't want to know about that. He was so particular, so specific, and that was something, and that's when I realized that today, the kind of attention or the kind of news that they're living in, the kind of environment that they're being brought up, has actually made them decide all those things how prior in their life. There's somebody, maybe I did not get a chance to speak to that particular candidate or student in detail, but I'm assuming that he or she would have picked this particular profession from somewhere, picked up some kind of interest, or maybe some YouTubers, some bhaiya didi, some favorite crush, or somebody would have inspired that, this is what you should do. This is something which is fun. You don't have to study, you just have to design, and this is going to be fun.
That's the challenge I see these youngsters also having, because they see the highlight reels on Instagram or on Snapchat, where you only see the best of a profession. And like all of you are seeing me having fun and with Abhishek and all these guests, but it takes hours, unbelievably amount of time to produce per podcast, and there's so much that goes on.
Yes, that's true. See, everybody at the end of the day is going to see this video. For example, student might watch tomorrow and they would say, "Oh, this is so interesting." See, bhaiyas, they don't work anything. They
think they're chilling. They're just talking. We're just chilling. It's not chilling. It's not talking.
This is very interesting. I can go out to people. I can just set up a couple of cameras, do some recording, and put it out, and everybody is going to love it. But then it doesn't.
The irony of it is, the graveyard of podcasts that have just 3 episodes or less is humongous. 90% podcasters don't even make it to episode 21.
Oh.
90% of them. Just the fact that I am at episode number 77, this one is going to be, puts me in like top 0.1% in the entire world.
Wow. Interesting.
The thing that I'm concerned about is, are these students that are so bright-eyed, oh, I'm going to make it like a graphic designer, I'm going to be a YouTuber. And I have a lot of nieces and nephews who have YouTube accounts.
Wow.
It's unbelievable. They prop up an iPhone and they are eating 5 different vada pavs and making videos, and they're like, give me your phone, I want to subscribe to my channel on your phone. And I'm like, okay.
Because they've learned this from all the YouTubers saying, oh, if you have not subscribed to the channel, please subscribe. Okay, so this is the technique that they're using. Okay, let me go back and use it on my
niece she went to YouTube settings on my phone, turned on notifications, and then went back and turned on the bell icon. I'm like,
Oh, wow.
so
Yes.
they are bright-eyed kids, very green,
Hmm.
and they're trying to pick up these careers. And I'm concerned. I'm sure you are also that it's an
Yes.
extremely hard career to make a living in. Still,
Yes.
accounting.
See, one of the fears that I
Yeah.
actually have today is tomorrow, what if a situation comes in that kids come to me and ask, or the next generation comes to me and asks, this is what I want to be, and I don't know about it. That's the biggest fear I live in here, because at least for us, the kind of bond that we have with our parents, we do not dare to question back too much. They would say, become an engineer. We will say, no, daddy, I don't want to be a civil. I want to be a mechanical engineer.
Right.
So some small iterations and convincing here and there, but not say, no, I am not going to do engineering. I'm going to do some other thing. I'm going to travel the world. No, that wouldn't happen. Yeah. And today I see that the next generation who is to come, yes, I think the kind of bond that we will have is a friendly bond, yeah, where they would want to share a lot of things with us, because they have screen time, they have a bubble, they have nobody to share, and that's the reason they have to come back to share with us, and we have to be on the other side. We have to be friendly with them. Yes. Now the only fear is they ask me a question and I don't know an answer to it. Maybe a profession, maybe something that they would have read somewhere, maybe
That's
something
your
that they
fear?
have got.
That they're gonna come up with a profession, like what is that?
Yes. So I've become so conscious when it comes to the knowledge part.
What's
of
the
it.
most weird career you've heard about?
weird career? Yeah, just somebody said that what they actually want to do is they just want to meet all the grandparents and just spend some 5 minutes with each grandparent. I asked them how did they actually think about marriage. A sixth, seventh grade student tells me, and in fact he's one of my known. He comes and tells me, "Bhaiya, you know what I want to do? Yeah, tell me what I want to do." I'll go to all the grandparents because his grandparents are kind of strict, yes.
Okay.
And so he says that I'm going to say and tell them that how did they make babies or how did they make kids? Some random thing, and I was like, how does even a sixth grade student know how to make babies?
Trust me, they do. They know more positions than their parents.
I was
For
like,
all you
oh
know.
my God, why this kind of
You know, they can
situations?
only go to
In
the-
fact, one of the kid I spoke to last week, I asked him what do you want for his birthday is coming on 16th. And what do you want for a birthday? I want Virat Kohli.
Virat Kohli.
How come? See, and then he's like, no. One of the YouTuber, whom he would be watching from a very long time. Now because he feels so connected with him, he says, when he can meet, why can't I? He feels so connected because he has been watching him for
Yeah, and
now.
then
He
there's like a
almost,
false sense of
yes, and he's just feeling that he's another bhaiya of his something. He's meeting Virat Kohli. Why can't you make? You are also my bhaiya. You call Virat Kohli to meet.
Yeah.
That's the birthday gift.
Too
that
many
he's
hearts to be
expecting.
shattered.
Yes,
Yeah. But this
uh,
6-year-old kid is onto something. Let him document how grandparents have stayed married for so long, because the way the divorce rates are going,
so that becomes a completely
their parents will
different.
not.
Yeah, that's a completely different world.
That's another thing I want to talk to you about. How do you see, because you grew up in a tier 2 city where your parents, your extended family, everybody lived probably in a block or maybe a walk away. Now you have the divorce rates are through the roof. Not just the celebrities, like in general in the society, divorce rates are through the roof. So increasingly these students are living with separated parents, spending some time with the dad, some time with the mom. And you also see this complexity of education taking over, where you not have to just study. Studying is not enough. Grades are not enough. You have to do something on the side and you have to do something else. What do you think the students are going through right now that you come across?
I can only feel sad for them because as a person, personally speaking, I cannot imagine my life with one of the parent with me. Yeah, I think my mother played a very significant role, while my dad had a very different kind of a role to be played. Yeah, closer to my mom, but while I was growing up, I was slightly, afraid of my dad because he would be kind of
We
strict.
all were.
But now, as we have grown up, now I'm more closer to my dad compared to my mom because he has become kind of a friend. He's friend to me. Yes, but I think yes, for a situation like that, I think I have no understanding. I would say, and because I wouldn't have interacted with these many people out there in that sense. I would say I only feel sorry for these kind of situations happening. But yes, people should think about it that what's going to happen for other people. But yes, people might even come back. But they would backlash at me that why should I worry about other people around me? They would have all these questions. But yes, I personally feel that's that part. That's I think we as a society we should do something that we or our very near and dear ones don't come into this kind of a situation, and we are able to take that initiative for people around us. And if everybody does that part, I think we as a society flourish and we evolve, and that's what leads us to be a better society every day.
Yeah, I'm afraid we're not going towards a better society at all because every
No.
now in my time in college, we would be okay if there's just one suicide a year in our college.
Yeah.
But now I'm seeing like one suicide per exam. It's crazy. I see my MBA college, I see my BBA college, and colleges are constantly in news of kids jumping the 7th floor, 8th floor because of exam pressure, because of whatever. The suicide rates are up, the loneliness is up. Do you feel that kids?
Yeah, so it's a I would say it's a challenge for us as a society. Yeah. So, for example, if I have a friend who is living with me, yes, and as a person, yeah, whatever I am, yeah, but if there's a person living with me in my flat, and if I am not able to understand what he or she is going through, yeah, or maybe if I'm not bothering to even ask that, hey friend, something looks different, I just noticed some kind of, because that's the only opportunity for the other person to actually come back and come up to you and speak. Yeah, while you always is you, while on the other hand you think that okay, let this happen, it is his life, my life is different, that's not, why should I even ask him? It's a different kind of scenario. So if you are in a situation number one, you probably think about others, others think about others, they think about their friends, and that's how you become a society, you become a family to one another, and that's how you say, brother from another mother, sister from another mother, friends. But yes, if you are into a situation too, if a lot of people end up into that kind of a situation, it is challenging, it is lonely. Every day, every moment becomes lonely for you, if because at the end of the day, the lives have become easy. Earlier, we were used to talk to our parents like twice every day. Today, because of our work, because of our kind of environment we live in, we afford to take like once in 2 days, once in 3 days. Yeah. What about the other time that we are spending? Yeah. If we do not have right people around us, or if we don't have, so it's also about the kind of circle I choose. It's also about the kind of contribution that I make to the society, to other person whom I am living with. Yeah. So that's how I feel about society, and that's what I always pray. It feels that it comes down to a lot of things that you actually pray and ask for. Yeah? If you pray that if I want to be a better person, I will contribute, I think the other person might feel about it, and he might come back to you and contribute to your life as well. Yes. While two stay separated in the same house as friends may not work after some time.
Yeah.
Yes.
The bubble's getting smaller and smaller.
It is, yeah. But then,
like when we grew up, the district or the city was the bubble, or at least the pin code was the bubble.
Yeah, at least I would say, yeah, I would know, even though I was not so much, walking around or maybe going around in the city, but I knew a lot of people. A lot of people knew me. In fact, whenever I get a chance, whenever I am home, I meet a lot of people. Yes, I get a chance to speak to them, and whenever somebody comes to Bangalore, they meet me as well. Yeah, but yes, things change, situations change, can't say anything, but I think you and I, if we are part of the society and if we are able to do a bit, let's do that.
So, what is the problem statement you're solving now for in EdTech?
We have tried to do some innovation in terms of the college degree program that's offering. So what we do is we partner with the university today and float a new tech degree program altogether, which is a 4-year program in the college itself, but with all or rather all irrelevant subjects removed from the curriculum and all replaced with some kind of a real world experience.
Wow.
So for example, we float a computer science degree in software product engineering. So the first year, all those physics, chemistry, lab, mechanical, all those subjects which are irrelevant to computer science or not directly relevant to computer science are all removed from the curriculum, and the focus is done on the full stack development in the first year plus soft skills. Yeah, because that's something important when you're working in a corporate. Second year onwards, in the first half of the day, students do their academics. In the second half, they work with companies on real projects. For example, our students, they work with companies like Morgan Stanley. In India, they work for companies like Tata 1mg. So those kind of companies working on real world projects. So they work as interns for the second, third and fourth year for different time durations. So they work for like 30 hours throughout the degree. So for second, so by the time you graduate, you would have some 3 years kind of work experience, real world experience. So that's and at the end of 4 years, you get a degree from the college itself. Yeah. So this is one of the innovations that we have done to make engineers today more relevant to the particular field. So today, when we say that we are floating a computer science degree program, we want these people to be good software engineers for the industry tomorrow.
So it's like a surrogate college.
Yes. So it's within the college. So they live exactly the same life what the other students are, but they're different kind of a program, different kind of a classroom setup, different learning. But
I was at IIM Bangalore a month ago having Maggie with there's an NSRCL you're aware of.
Yes, I have been.
Yeah.
I was in one of the launch pads there.
I was with them having Maggie, and I was asking them how's their Goldman Sachs program going.
Yes.
And 2 new hires, so they were like boastful. We are having a new batch. I'm like, how big is the batch? They're like some 80 members. I'm like, how many batches in a year? They're like a few batches, half a dozen batches. And I'm just doing the math because I just come talking to the dean, and the dean had told me, Puneeth, the new IMD batches just come in.
Yeah.
I'm like, how much is it? It's like some 400 oddish, just increasing it by 50 every year.
Yeah.
And I lean forward to this 2 new hires of NSS. I'm like, guys, you're running a university bigger than IMD within IMD. Because GS has like some 600 people coming in for 6-month course. They have their own classes going on. They have their own batches going on.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's like a complete surrogate university within the campus. Unbelievable.
Yes.
Do you see that is how college is going to evolve?
I don't know. So this is because this is one of its kind program. Yeah. So you would have never heard a college degree being evolved like this.
No, I have.
Yeah. There are other.
A lot of colleges in Bangalore do this.
No, there are other companies doing some kind of program like this, but not in the university, not in the college. So they have their own campuses. So for example, XYZ School of Engineering. So XYZ is that a tech company will open their own engineering college. They will open their own college and all those collaborations play. But what we are trying to do is we are trying to add some kind of fun, some kind of right knowledge, some kind of innovation in the college degree itself, which makes it more meaningful, which makes it more not just a piece of paper, but right skills along with that piece of paper. So that's something that we're doing. But yes, colleges will have to evolve to make people more employable, to make people more ready for the real world out there, to make people more eligible to actually contribute in a right way to the world out there, to the society out there after those 4 years of engineering or graduation. Yeah, so that's how I feel. It will change, and things are changing. A lot of why a lot of these edtech companies have come up offering this kind of a program where there is no direct pen and paper kind of exam, but these kind of projects being asked there. Yeah, all those things happening. So there is change happening. There are things which are being accepted in the society. There are good testimonials from the industry as well, that while they get an experience of these kind of candidates, they say these candidates are much better in terms of the final year candidates that we actually hire from other colleges.
Yeah, I felt that, but a lot of edtechs are shutting down. Just 2 months ago, there's this STOA school that shut down.
Yes.
There's so many others. I mean, the big one is shutting down very publicly now, but the other was also shutting down because they had a very good hiring in the first 2-3 batches, but now there isn't enough hiring. The numbers on the paper, the financial numbers for an institution is not working. So they're running into some really deep water.
So I think a lot of things come down to the execution part of it. Yeah. So one of the reasons I have realized, because I'm connected to a lot of people who want to do an edtech tomorrow or today, and I have been in the same industry where I know people who have made it big in the industry. My own mentors, people. In fact, my own co-founder Rajesh, who is one of the co-founders at Kalvium. This happens to be his third venture. Yeah, he has been in the same industry for almost 16, 17 years. Yes, and one of the reasons that I feel why it doesn't work out for a lot of people who actually want to make an edtech industry or make an edtech organization is, one is the execution part of it. The other is maybe they couldn't figure out the right way to solve a problem. Yeah, or why financials did not work out, because there was some kind of an discrepancy in terms of understanding how this has to be planned for the next 3 years, 5 years. Yeah. So, and those have become a very basic reasons for these companies not able to work out. Yeah. So I would rather say somebody who has come from similar kind of an edtech experience, building a company, while initial would have been business, but yes, the second venture that he or she would have come out would have been innovation in the industry, and then the evolution happens. Yeah. So I think that this is the time, because we have a lot of competition out there, a lot of other edtechs out there. My personal understanding is somebody has to do a business in the same field, then think of some kind of innovation, then think of building an edtech industry. Okay? And I think that's how numbers would match up. That's my personal understanding about the industry.
So how much does the course cost that you're trying to float?
It depends. So it's almost similar to the college degree, which college fees that the other students are paying. Maybe some kind of a delta or
Give
some
me an
number.
understanding.
So for example, a university charging like 10 lakhs or 12 lakhs for 4-year degree. This would be like 13.5 kind of numbers. Yeah.
And how much does the college get, and how much does?
It depends. And because I don't look into that university side, so not really. Yes.
What's the business proposition for you guys? I don't see that clearly.
So it's kind of a revenue share in terms of the fee that the college is getting out of it.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay. And do you also lend money to students to do this course?
We don't do that. So there are other financial partners in the university itself. So they don't come to our office and then take an admission. They rather go to the university itself and they see a new program there. And then they become curious. Okay, what is this? Okay,
what kind of program? Give me a program.
This is similar. So, for example, a college has 20 BTech branches.
Okay.
Ours is the 21st branch.
What is that?
Which is called BTech Computer Science, Software Product Engineering, powered by Kalvium.
Amma, such a huge name. Huh?
Yeah, so that's how it gets.
Computer
Science engineering, same computer science, but with software product engineering specialization.
Software product
engineering specialization.
Okay.
Powered by Kalvium.
Okay.
So you see this
That's
name.
One course. What are the courses?
This is the only.
That's the only course.
That's the only
How
course
many
in different
universities do you have?
So this year we have 18 universities. Okay. 18 universities across India.
How many students?
So this year we would have some numbers, but yes, our previous batch has around 250 students.
Across 18?
No, the last year we had like 10 universities.
And 250 students.
Yeah, so it's kind of like 20. So we make a small cohort in a college, which is 20, 21 in a batch.
And you support with the placement as well?
Yeah, so that becomes the core part of it. Yeah, because second year onwards, you are supposed to have real world experience. Yeah, we have some internal parameters based on which you have to work with companies. So those companies.
So you bring the
it's
internships
yes,
as well?
Yes. So that becomes one of our part where we put in a lot of our efforts that we have right companies coming in. First, we evangelize our model that this is a new model where you have internships for 36 months. Nobody, because there is no word for 36 months work experience. Yes. So these people, you evangelize, you tell them, you try with candidates. They come, they interview, they see, okay, these are good fit. Let's get them on board to work as remote engineers on some projects that we have. That's how it is.
Okay. So if you have a university, you have their assets that you're able to use. Do you run one batch a day? Do you run two batches a day? Because they come for half a day, I believe, right?
No.
They come from 9 to 10, 9 to 12.
There's a separate classroom assigned for this
And
branch.
how many hours is the batch?
So they spend the full time. So in the first half, the
First half
classroom
is
is
what,
also
3
not
hours,
like a
4
typical classroom where the professor comes, gives a session, and goes back. It's kind of a co-working space setup.
Okay.
So and that's the reason we have only 20 in a classroom, in a cohort, I would say. Yeah, because we have put a co-working kind of a setup where candidates come, they have their stand up in the morning. So they treat themselves as professionals. We treat them as professionals. So they come in the morning, they have a stand up. All their timetable and everything is on their calendars. So they don't have something like that. They don't have an ERP system where they check their timetable, classroom 1, classroom 2, and all those. No, they have everything put on their calendars. They follow their calendars. They have their sessions in the classroom itself.
So
12
how many
o'clock.
hours?
So that till
9 to 12?
Yeah,
That's
they
4
come
hours.
8:30 types, and then till 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
12 to 1 is kind of a lunch hour. 1 to 6 p.m. is what they do,
Work.
remote internship. So they are in the classroom itself.
Still in the classroom.
Yes. So that's why I say it's a managed internship that these candidates are part of. Yeah?
But they're still remote internships.
Yes, it's a remote internship,
Nice.
but in the classroom setup itself, high internet connectivity. There's a technical mentor there to guide,
Gotcha.
support, and all this.
Let's do a quick round of questions and then we are through. What's a book that you'd recommend all founders to read?
One of the book that I read by Raj Shamani was Build Don't Talk. Yes, all those childhood dreams.
Yeah.
Yes, that's one thing I would recommend. Yes.
Yeah, you can't recommend Build Don't Talk on a podcast. Because the only thing I'm building is by talking.
No problem. But yes, and that's an interesting book.
What's a movie you'd recommend?
Movie? I'm a Bollywood fan.
Movie, series, or podcast?
Yeah, I'm a Bollywood fan. I watch a lot of movies, but lately one of the movies I would recommend. Yes. But yes, I would go back and watch Tare Zameen Par a lot of times.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Nice. Who's the best salesperson you've ever met?
My manager from my first organization.
Uh-huh.
Yes, his name is Ajay.
Okay.
So yes, I think he's the best
Why?
salesperson. I feel his way of talking is very different. Yeah. So he talks fast, yet is able to make sure that the other person is able to understand everything that he's speaking, and he has a lot of content to speak. Yeah. So he has read a lot of books and he has a lot of content to share. So from a knowledge, value adding conversation and closing a sale, yeah, he's the person. Yeah.
If you
Exceptional.
had a minute with a college student and you would never meet that person again, what would you tell?
What would I tell him?
Or her?
Yes.
Or they?
Yes. AI tool. So I recently used one of the tool which is I forget the name, but yes, that's the tool which actually gives you your head a different kind of a hairstyle.
You can look it up if you want.
No, I don't have a phone right now, but yes. So one of the tools that I used was that tool gives you a very good. So you can choose different hairstyles, put it on your face, and see which suits you, and then go for a haircut. So I think that's one of the tools that I used recently.
What's the latest thing that you've bought under 10,000 rupees? Gadget, gizmo, or
I bought a gym membership yesterday.
we are under 10,000.
Yes, under 10,000.
Yeah.
Great deal.
What
Good deal.
negotiated, man? I wanted to throw out a 1-week challenge to the listeners with a hashtag. What would it be?
1 week challenge.
Yeah.
Yes, I would say meditate.
Okay.
Do like 2 minutes of meditation today.
Yeah.
Silently sitting, thinking about yourself. If you don't know what to think, pray. If you don't even know to pray, read a holy scripture, something. Yes, do it for 2 minutes today, do it for 3, 5 minutes tomorrow, 7 minutes. I think a good 20 minutes meditation every day actually helps you calm yourself and become focused on your daily work. Yeah, that's what you
Yeah.
should.
So hashtag better every day. Tag both of us, Abhishek Joseph and Puneeth Suraana, when you take this challenge up, and keep us posted how it went. On that note, go and make some Galata.